Chapter 2. In Chapter 2, we are going to learn how to stamping with a makeup sponge. We are going to use a makeup sponge to coloring. It's very easy, simple, and fast. This is the sample card. This is the card we're going to make today. Let's start it. First, we're going to need a Safari Animal 2 stamp set, the cheetah image. We're going to use the background stamp rectangular frame. We will need one permanent ink pack. This is from the Memories. If you can't find the Memories, you can also use a StazOn Jet Black. They are the permanent ink pack. We're going to use 3 dye-based ink pack. Those are from the Marvy, light, medium, dark. We're going to use one yellow marker, craft knife, makeup sponge. Let's start it. So first, we're going to use the cheetah image. I like to put my stamps on the table and apply the ink this way. Rub the image and gently tap. So that way I can see everywhere is nicely inked. And then we're going to stamp it on the glossy paper again. Remember, glossy paper is not photo paper. Photo paper won't work. They have the special glossy paper designed for rubber stamping. That's why you can use a regular water-based or dye-based markers on the glossy paper. They will dry right away. Most of the glossy paper on the market, they are designed for print. So you will need the oil-based paint to stamping on the glossy paper, so they won't work. So you have to make sure that glossy paper you have is for rubber stamping. Give a nice firm press. So this is your black and white image. It will need 3 minutes to be completely dry. So we're going to just sit on side, and then we're going to do the background. When I work on the big background stamps, I would like to put my stamps on the table and then ink this way. Always rub, and then tap. So when you rub, there is some lines. The tap is just blend the lines together. And then we're going to use a glossy paper again. Remember, if you can't find the glossy paper, just use a regular cardstock. Put on top and rub. When you're stamping the big background stamp, if your table is not completely flat, sometimes you always end up part of the image is missing. But if you try to stamp this way, every time, I'm guaranteed you can get a nice clean image. So this is your black and white image. And then because the StazOn and the Memories, they are the permanent ink pack, I'm going to show you how to clean your stamps after we finish the card. So let's wait for 3-4 minutes, make sure completely dry before we start rubbing the color. So I'm going to put on the side. And I have 2 is already dry. So we're going to have 3 ink pack in front of us. Always a light, medium, dark. We're going to use the markers to color the eyes first. Okay, you can use any washable dye-based marker. Even the Crayola marker will work just fine. Makeup sponge. Those are just a regular makeup sponge that we use to apply the foundation. So we always tasting on your scrap paper. Make sure it's not too much ink. And then we start to apply on your image. The reason I use the black permanent ink is because we're going to use the dye-based ink. We're going to rub on top. If you use the dye-based black ink for your image, and then when we rub the color on top, when wet, they will smear together. So it's better you use a black permanent ink pack, and now we don't have to worry they will smear together. So pick up a little bit color and then start from your T-zone. It is exactly how we wear the foundation. You always start from the light color, the T-zone, and then you can turn in your paper a little bit, and then a little bit here on the blush. The trick is you always start one direction. You don't try to go forward, come back like that. That won't work. So always start from the light color, turn in your paper. And then we're going to use the second color. Okay. It's good to working on the glossy paper because the surface is very smooth. So when you apply the color is easily blending together. You won't show the stroke. And then we're going to use the dark color, just and then we're going to working on the background. So it's the same technique. I use a scissors trimming a little bit, and then we always start with the lighter color. Okay, make sure your black image is completely dry, otherwise the color will blending together. So just leave it for 4 or 5 minutes, or you can heat up with your heat gun. Okay, and then darker color. That's it. Look at how simple and easy. You can spend 2 hours use your markers to color everywhere, but I like it fast and easy. So stamping with a makeup sponge, the coloring is just fast and it is very easy, and there is really no skill required. And now we are going to just mount on the color cardstock. So I have my color cardstock here. Okay. So first, okay, the cheetah image, before I mount on the my color cardstock, I'm going to use the exact knife. And I'm going to just cut this part. The trick is you always have a sharp blade and the cutting mat under. Okay. And then kind of just fold a little bit. You get a 3D looking. And then we are going to just mount on our color cardstock, put a little bit foam tape under. So first layer. The layering is really important. It really adds value on the card. It looks like a professional artwork. Okay, and then my glossy paper, they are special paper designed for rubber stamping. They are clay coated. On the surface is a very thin layer of clay, so you can use the craft knife, a sharp knife, just scratch a little bit, give it a little bit highlight, scratch the clay off the paper on the whisker part. Okay, and then we are going to use a diamond